Hello. Hello, Internet. We're here. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Addicted to Loot, the now legal Addicted to Loot podcast, because this is episode 21. Woo!
Woo! Party!
Pop the Pabst Blue Ribbon.
Wow. You could not have picked a more, I don't know.
Less celebratory beer.
Yeah, the most. Literally, we just lost half our viewership because of that.
I understand. Hi, guys. Welcome to
Hello.
Addicted to Loot, a podcast about video games. I'm Tom. Who are you?
I'm Brian,
Hi,
a.k.a.
Brian.
Atomic, a.k.a. the other dude.
Atomic.
AKA, hi.
I'm Tomality, and he's Atomicality. That was close.
We'll go with
works.
that. It was a stretch, but we got there.
Yeah,
we
hey.
got there as a team.
Yeah,
I feel like we
group
all grown
effort.
after this experience.
So, what is all happening in video games, Brian?
Well, a few big things are happening. Of course, anyone who maybe hasn't had a chance to try the brand new Call of Duty, at least I'm assuming that's what this new, Infinite Warfare. If you haven't yet to try Infinite Warfare, good thing for you, because this weekend actually is a free trial.
Whoa.
Actually lets you know, we've officially tried Battlefield 1, Titanfall 2, far more than Battlefield 1, but we actually have yet to try Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, but there is a free weekend happening. You get 2 campaign levels, you get multiplayer up to rank 15, and plus the zombie mode up to rank 3. I feel like, from what I've heard and from what I've read, the zombie mode's the only real thing to play the game for.
Well, it sounds like it's okay, like an okay Call of Duty game.
Yeah, with a pretty decent, entertaining zombie, multiplayer
Is that the one?
map.
This is the one that's like 80s design.
Yeah, it's like
right?
80 comedic zombies, not like they've done a few interesting ones.
Yeah,
but
I can't help but feel like Call of Duty is like 3 years too late with that. You know, that was such a thing that was happening just a small handful of years ago, and it's like, yeah, okay, we got an 80s themed zombie mode. Oh boy, that shark.
they've been doing the zombie mode thing since Call of Duty 2,
right?
3. I forget exactly when, because I remember playing the original one with my brother way back when. Local split screen, because that's all we had back then.
Back when you still had a brother.
Yes, back when
I mean, you still have one, but
but yeah, I mean, they did all sorts of different settings, locations, and time frames for the zombie games. But yeah, the 80s mode one, meh. It just seems like the fact that an 80s mode comedic zombie setting is like the selling point of the game. It's not, doesn't give me a lot of hope.
Well, it's just the whole thing, and we've talked about this in the past, and it's been in covered ad nauseum of how Titanfall 2 and Call of Duty Infinite Warfare here have these really similar things going on, being science fiction games,
futuristic science fiction, high
sort of
tech.
the same kind of type of science fiction, and Titanfall 2 being this just vastly superior but unfortunately underappreciated, I think.
Probably is the best way of saying it. I mean, even to the point when Call of Duty Infinite Warfare is even trying to do the whole parkour quick, very mobile play style, which is very... And so it's weird because Call of Duty has made its money on cover-based shooting, then all of a sudden they try to make this strangely pilot-like...
Titanfall-esque game.
Yeah, it's like, if you took Titanfall without the Titans, it's kind of what Call of Duty Infinite Warfare is trying to, emulate.
Which is really funny, because that speaks to me. However...
But they just didn't execute on it, which is...
Yeah.
And because it's strange, because it's... I think we revisited this multiple times, but when we previewed all these games, we were most excited for Infinite Warfare, kind of for Titanfall 2, and since release, that's all flipped.
Oh, yeah.
So,
I feel I have not given Titanfall 2 enough playtime in my catalog. I really enjoy it. I really, 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 really enjoy it. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, okay, well, unless the Origin server... Not the Origin server. The SWOTAR servers go, belly up for, a month, I don't think that's going to ever happen.
I was playing Star Wars The Old Republic, which is something I do, and...
almost at a professional level.
Almost at a pro level. And I was, they had a news alert that came up and that said, it's 7 o'clock in the morning on on like Tuesday, which was like 2 days from the point I was playing it, there'll be an update on the servers. Servers will go down for a few hours. I thought, 7 o'clock in the morning, I'll be sleeping. That'll be fine. So long about Tuesday, I'm sitting playing, and it says, servers going down in 10 minutes. I was like, what? I just was like, I'm playing right now. How dare you? And B, I had completely zoned out and was not aware that it was almost 7 o'clock a.m. on Tuesday. I was like, wow, this says a lot of things to me right now. I am going to sign off, A, because I have to.
And B, because I have to be at work 5 minutes ago. So
I have to reassess my life choices right now. But no, it's SWTOR, as we call it, it's really a great game. But more about that later. And forever.
But Infinite Warfare, free weekend, I'd say, hey, go check it out.
I don't know if I'm going to.
And I'm going to say I doubt that I'm going to as well. There's other things I'd much prefer to play, and there's far other things that my time needs to be, dedicated to at this point in my life.
If I was looking to really analyze, having played Battlefield 1, owning Titanfall 2, and wanting a comparison point, maybe, but really, geez, God, the motivation.
Yeah, this would be the only opportunity I think I would ever play Infinite Warfare, especially with if it is actually as lackluster as they say it is.
Yeah.
But once again, there's too many things to do, and I have too many things to play. It's just there's too many things.
There's just too many games, and isn't that the darn truth? Hey,
and I actually saw that. Did you see that graph that showed the number of games available in Steam has been growing at an exponential level?
It's like a ridiculous fraction of Steam's games were released this year.
It was, I forget exactly how much it was, but it was basically showing that every year there is more Steam games than the previous year.
Nearly 40% of Steam's catalog was released
came out this year. And if basically that trend keeps up, next year, I'm not even, in the next few years, if that keeps up, there's going to be so many games that even I would say major milestone releases are going to get swept under the rug.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be almost it's going to be like old school cable television. You have 300 channels. I don't want to watch any of them. Congrats!
Well, that's exactly it. That's exactly it. And what's funny is, as you were talking about SWTOR, there are these games that are kind of these staples that, 100,000 million billion games, even within a specific genre, can be released, and they could improve and expand upon it in all sorts of ways, but people will just have that one that they play.
It's gonna be interesting to see how next year, because I already have games slotted for next year, but if we have that many more games released, I don't even know what I'm gonna do. It's I want to get a new RPG, let me go to the RPG section. Oh my god.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I've talked recently since Tyranny came out. I thought, I would really love to go back to Pillars of Eternity. I'm looking at these 80-plus hour games thinking, well, already the newest iteration has come out, and I want to play.
And the problem is then we're at a point in consumerhood that I won't even touch a Steam game that's non a major blockbuster release unless there's Steam reviews. But then there's so many games that not everyone can play each game, so there might be a gem in there that's just passing you by because you just don't want to take the chance on buying a game and being the person to do a Steam review on it. So it just builds and builds and builds.
I used to really dig Humble Bundles, and now I've even shied away from those because here's 12 games, and it's
Yeah, I can't tell you the last time I actually did a Humble Bundle.
Well, there was one about 2 or 3 years ago that I'll always remember. Origin did a Humble Bundle, and it was literally Burnout Paradise, Mirror's Edge,
I bought that one.
Yeah, and it was crazy. I'm each of these are huge games, all of them, and it was great because I actually didn't own Mirror's Edge or Burnout Paradise, and so I finally got to play those.
Yeah, that was a great one. But now every time I see a Humble Bundle, it's here's 35 indie games that no one ever has heard of.
And it's I would love these. I'm sure I will love these, but I just I have so many already.
The very first Humble Bundle I ever did was just a ton of indie games.
Yep.
I played vast majority of them. I want to say indie games, they were games like Bastion, Hard Boiled Chicken, a bunch of little tiny indie games like that. But they were just, I guess, had good a good reception from the community. And I remember slowly installing, beating, and then uninstalling each and every one of them But I'm not going to I'm just not in a spot to do that anymore. And it's getting to the point where they have so many included that it's like, I don't even know if I even won half of these games. Just, I can get... It's like, is it worth paying $2 to get one game when I get 40 games that I'm not just never going to touch? It's like, really?
It's tough. It's tricky. And I'm also at a point, this is going to sound really, really, really wonky of me, and I apologize, but I'm at a point where it's like, I want to support this specific developer, so I'm going to give them my money, as directly.
Opposed to like, I don't want to give the charity. Screw those hungry kids.
Well, I mean, it's not even necessarily that, but it's like, you know what? I really like what Amanita Design turns out, the Samaros games and things like that. I want Amanita to have my money. I want them to have the money for this game. Here, take it.
Like just walk up to them.
Yeah, exactly.
Excuse me.
Yeah, just come to their house and be like, "Hi, can I just join your team? And also here, have my money." But yeah, coming back full circle a little bit. There are these games that they're just these legacy games that stick around. They're constantly in the Steam's top played list, and one of them is the Dota. And
yeah, I mean,
there's been some Dota lately, I hear.
Oh well, yeah, Dota's been, I would say, probably the most well-known or growing esport right now, just because of the fact of how much prize money there is in it. It seems like everything else is kind of stagnated, but Dota is getting to the...
What sport would Dota compare to? I was going to say soccer, but I think Dota...
I don't really know if there is a good comparison, considering all esports are so vastly different.
Right, but is Dota the soccer in the sense that, it's this huge thing within its realm of people who play it, but those outside of it are like, no, we play football / League of Legends instead.
Maybe. I mean,
Dota is the more... Dota in Europe they play this.
I mean, Dota is definitely internationally received as well as most other esports. It's getting to the point now where it's almost becoming the esport. So it's kind of interesting.
It's pretty ubiquitous.
I mean, it's been growing and growing, and the main thing is with Dota specifically, when we say Dota, we mean Dota 2, is that...
Right, of course.
I mean, since the very first International 1, I actually started watching in the International 2, I mean, it's gone from being $1 million in total prize pool to now every member of a 5-person team winning over $1 million for winning the overall championship. So it's been growing immensely, and just recently, the previous weekend of this recorded podcast, there is actually one of the major events of Dota 2 for, I guess, this iteration of the season, meaning from TI to TI, not calendar year. And
so this is like a mid-season?
I would say it's like, I think it's the second major of this season.
Sure.
I'm not sure how many majors there are, but I think it's the overall second or third major. I could be incorrect on that, but I know it's second or third. But it was in Boston. I was sad that I missed it because it's like, I don't know when it will ever come that close to me again. But it was an insane major. I mean, I didn't get to watch the qualifiers. I got to start watching it from the semifinals onward. So I actually got to see 2 days worth of matches from, basically like morning to night. Because the majors happen, it's like we start at 9 a.m. and then we go until the final match ends, because these matches can range from 20 minutes all the way to well over an hour. So.
Yeah, that's something that's so funny about, I don't want to say Dota specifically, maybe MOBAs specifically.
It depends on the MOBA, because there's certain MOBAs, I don't know how many you've played, but I've played plenty of MOBAs that have been very much targeted for shorter play styles. Other ones that have been shorted specifically for your strategy can last for that long. I mean, I've played Dota games, like I said, that spanned that portion of time, if not longer and shorter. League of Legends has it's like averaged kind of gameplay time. I mean, it seems like other ones have a more refined, like you know about what time you're going to play for each one. Dota is completely different. I remember playing a match. This is a quick tangent. I remember the most memorable match that I ever had was me and my friend of mine who got me into Dota when I was still in college. We're playing a match, and we started playing this thing. We were just getting stomped. I mean, we were getting owned hard. I can still remember the character I was playing and everything else. I was playing with Shrek kind of as a support character, and we were getting stomped hard, and we just kept on playing, and then all of a sudden we're like, oh, we're kind of getting a hold again, and kept on playing, and oh, this is starting to turn around, and starting to turn around, and it got to the point where I think we were well over an hour, and I felt like we were like an hour and 20 minutes or something, if not more. Single match, no changes, same thing as always.
Oh my God.
And we ultimately end up winning this match. But I remember it was like one of those things where like, hey, you want to go grab like lunch or something? Yeah, just give me like 20 minutes or a half hour. And we started playing this thing for a freaking like hour and a half, or at least close to. I'm sitting there, a pool of just like tension and sweat, because it was such an intense and close match for that entire hour and a half, and it was just insane. But then you could completely counterpoint that, where not only a few matches before or after, I could have easily won or lost within 20-30 minutes. So it's funny just to see the exact range of Dota, especially depending on the quality and teamwork of the players you have.
Part of my problem with MOBAs, and not that I have a problem with the game taking a lot of my time, as mentioned earlier, or referenced earlier with Star Wars, but that I think when it comes to competitive games, I really like a blitz. Like, if I had my way, every competitive match would be like 3 to 5 minutes of anything, whether it's a shooter, anything. Give me just enough time to get in, because I have more fun when I'm forced to be thinking on the spot really rapidly. Something like Dota or like StarCraft comes to mind. You got to be you're banging your head against a wall sometimes. Like, I cannot break this defense. Yeah, that's fun. There's something to be said for that, but I also like the idea, speaking of StarCraft, playing RTS games, I want to sometimes say, you know what? I can't solve this problem right now. I'm going to save the game. I'm going to close it. I'm going to go to bed. I'm going to sleep on it. And then I could wake up in the morning and be like, I got it. And there's just something about being in this situation, especially if it feels like it's an unwinnable situation or it's just like a constant stalemate. I understand fully the appeal of that, but for me personally, it's like, I'd rather be a quicker experience.
No, I could definitely understand that. It's a very unique experience.
Like I see both sides for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I took a very long break from Dota. I'm actually trying to maybe get back into it. I actually downloaded. I might just try to seeing how it's changed, because it's changed so much.
Yeah, big time. So I've seen.
I mean, and it's interesting because like even in the style of play that even just like different areas of the world. I mean, like Western Dota and Eastern Dota. I mean, Western Dota, like specifically, like you could think like U.S. style Dota. It's very much kind of like you said. Very much they want shorter, quick games. They want to just beat you like real quick and outright. Where Eastern Dota, usually like the Asian tournaments and things like that, actually tend to want to go long, late game. Like it's weird to see the different strategies. I mean, it's interesting depending on how you formulate your lineup, how you pick your heroes, how you counterpick other heroes, how you ban heroes, the various strategies that you can do. I mean, early game, late game, split push, team fight. I mean, there's all sorts of different ways to play it, and it's fun to watch all these teams kind of have their strengths and their weaknesses, and just how they formulate all their strategies. And that's kind of one of the cool things I like about it. Sure. The only thing I would say I'm not a fan of with watching Dota is ultimately there's tons of heroes or playable characters in Dota, and it's no fault to the characters, the developers, or anything else. There's always X amount of characters that are just, you're stupid to not try to play with them or have them on your team. So it almost boils down into you get like kind of this, you see the same types of characters every single time.
Yeah, I've experienced that a little bit with Overwatch.
And it's like, I'm more than happy to watch this because I want to watch how the pros play them, but it gets far more excited when someone just pulls a random hero out of their butt and you're like, oh my god, what's he going to do with this? As opposed to, oh, I can almost guarantee you these 5 heroes are going to be in this game in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
It's not a terrible thing. It's just like, if I had a choice, I would want that to be a little bit more variety. But
I do rescind my comment slightly. I do see it in Overwatch. There are some certain staples, but they seem like they are constantly trying to shift that to a good result.
Yeah, but getting back to it, so the Boston Major did happen, and it was extremely exciting. The few matches that I watched, like I said, were semifinals onward, and I'm not going to do too much of a monologue on this, even though I've kind of already talked far longer than I thought I was going to. ultimately, it came down to these two teams in the finals, which were OG, or Original Genius, and Ad Phenom, which is the best part about this was like a David and Goliath match, because OG has like a lifetime winnings of over 3 million, and like Ad Phenom has a lifetime winnings of like 30,000, and it was just like this staunch, giant Goliath versus this, underdog nobody that just really just stormed their way through the tournament to get to the finals. And the one thing that made me love watching Dota, even got my fiance into love watching Dota, since I had it on while she was watching. Like, she just kind of was watching over my shoulder, then she got into it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a best of 3. So OG took the very first 2 matches. It was like, and then it was like do or die for Ad Phenom for the third match. And this match, oh my god, it was another same thing that I kind of experienced. It was well over an hour. It was back and forth. It was like a nail biter the entire time. There's Ad Phenom got OG into the situation where no one ever comes back from. Ultimately, like, if you know anything about Dota, it's like they were able to basically get mega creeps on their side, which is usually like a death sentence, but somehow OG was still able to stay in it and fight with it, even though they had it. I don't even know how they managed to do it. And then everyone knows this. There's this ridiculous weapon called the rapier. People just call it the rapier. I forget the exact full title to it, but it's like this extremely expensive item that gives you like plus, I think it's like 300 or 400 attack damage. Basically makes you like just about to be able to one hit almost anything. But the key thing about it is that if you die while using it, it just drops to the floor and anyone can pick it up. So it's this ridiculous item. Ad Phenom ends up buying it, fighting with it, dying, losing it, killing the person who took it, eventually getting it back, buying a second one for backup just in case. And oh my god, it comes down to this final team fight that literally they're getting to the point where they're attacking the Ancient for the win, and they're going, and they're fighting this team fight, and OG's killing them off, and they're literally just ignoring them and just trying to attack the Ancient straight away, just trying to just nuke it down without trying to take the team fight, or just, we're this close, we have a rapier, let's just nuke it down. They're going, and somehow they kill off every single person but one. And there's like one hit left on the Ancient, and they're like bringing it back. But how this one person though, the remaining character, and this guy deserved the MVP. He was playing this Earthshaker character, and I don't know if he had it on him or what, but he somehow went cloak. Ultimately, I don't know if he had like a dust of disappearance or what happened, but ultimately he's cloaked. He's running. He's like sneaking into the base along the tree line. He teleports to, or like he he blinks. That's probably the best way of saying it. He's using an item called a blink dagger to let him like kind of teleport a short distance.
Dishonored trademark.
Yeah. Oh, he blinked to the Ancient, stunned the person that was right next to him, and somehow got off one punch before the entire team jumped on him to win the match. The entire place, this entire theater, because this is the other point. Dota's getting to the point where they sell out entire, I forget how many
arenas.
hundreds, seat place theaters. Not only the TIs in a stadium now, but they sell out these massive venues now to watch these things. The entire place erupts as this guy ninja snipes the Ancient out of nowhere after like an hour plus match. And it was like, I was like standing up, like face to my TV, just like watching this thing happen, watching this guy go for the Ancient, going, he's not doing it. No, there's no way he's doing this. And then all of a sudden, blink, bam, smack, game over. Oh my god, he did it. All right. I sat there like, I had to like recover from this match. It was insane. I mean, stuff like that is the reason why you watch it. This was
about the point that my Twitter feed just
exploded.
Broke. I mean, it wouldn't even refresh. It was like,
it was such an intense moment. I mean, I wish every match of the final was like that. I mean, OG ended up winning it the next match, pretty not single-handedly, but basically one-sided
handily.
Yeah, single-sidedly, but yeah, I mean, it was great. I mean, the matches were great. The earlier matches, there's tons of extremely close early matches. But it's like those really close matches are really what makes Dota exciting, because it's a game where strategy, teamwork, and like team fighting ability, things like that, all come into play, and it's interesting to see how, because you actually need skill, timing, and teamwork to actually win like a team fight. And it's really interesting to see how everyone works together and see like literally the skill plays of some of these people.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many little minor things that they would show on replays after the match that you're going, how the hell would you even think about doing it in that sequence?
Sure.
Just purely showing the skill of some of these players. I mean,
and the thing is, it really
incredible.
is. It's sequenced, pre-planned stuff, right? There's not a lot of improvising going on.
Some teams there are.
Oh, there are? Okay.
I mean,
I was under the impression that there was a lot of locker room strategizing that goes on with Dota. We've got our kind of our moves, our maneuvers.
That's the funny part. These two teams couldn't be much different. OG, which is, they've won quite a lot, but the funny part is they're calm, cool, collected, tactical. I mean, you can never even tell that this team has an emotion. The other people at Phenom, that's funny. They're a team from Greece, so the entire time people were rooting for them, they're doing the 300 chant shout thing.
Oh my god, yeah,
it was insane. But these people, the exact opposite. They're laughing, screaming, jumping, banging. Like every time they won a match, they jumped up and bashed the table, and it was just it was just funny to see the exact contrast between these two teams. But
sure,
there's some teams that literally, OG is known for just their extremely precise tactical team fight. They're insane. And you take a team like Ad Phenom, which they're literally want to cause chaos. That's it. They don't want to do team fights. They don't want to do anything.
That's my kind of team.
They want to be annoying, hit and run. That's fun. They just want to be kind of just out there. I mean, it's
oh my god, that's my jam.
But the funny part is it's not like there's there's only one or two out there. There's a lot of teams that make their they get their victories because of the fact that they just play really annoying tactics, as opposed to, oh, this is exactly what we're doing. This is the exact strategy we're doing, and we all know that we're going to do XYZ PDQ in the team fight in this order. Right. You know what I mean? It's just so funny.
That's exactly what I was talking about earlier when I say I like short blitz stuff. That's the kind of quote-unquote strategy. It's the no strategy. We're going to find out what to do when we get there. Obviously there's an amount of pre-planning and whatever and, resource management, but thrust me into the situation and let me quickly assess it. I will guarantee I'll do better than any kind of plan.
Yeah, but it was fun. It was amazing. It was, like I said, I'm really sad I missed this in person. I really hope they go back to the Boston area sometime soon, because I will 100% go in person to see it the next time.
Yeah.
But
that'd be interesting to see.
Oh yeah, definitely. It'd be my first esports experience in person, and I had one friend that actually did go in person. He said it was absolutely insane.
I can imagine. Imagine anything, any convention, anything like that. It must be hard to not get caught up in the hype.
Oh no, definitely.
Even if you weren't into it, it'd be oh my god, this is the best thing.
I would love to do it. Oh well, but
that's good. Good Dotas, quality Dotas.
All the Dotas. So trying to, even though we didn't want to spend this much time on our news.
Well, no, it's good. It's an important part of gaming. It's it's
big right now. I just think it's just funny how we are. You know what? Our news section this week might take us 10 minutes. It's already on a half hour. But hopefully the next one is a little bit shorter. But Overwatch, of course, it's that time of the year. It's the winter season. It's Christmas season. So, of course, Overwatch is going to be having a special winter feature in it where their treasure chests are now Christmas presents. Everyone's getting winter gear and winter emotions or emotes. They're getting, Christmas lights strung up against them, so on and so forth.
Yeah, it's basically... as you would probably expect, a bunch of skins. That's the big
skins.
I think the big
victory
draw.
Poses, emotes.
Yeah, there's a Santa Torbjorn that I'm here for.
That does look awesome. I'll give him that one.
I love it, and some of them are just some kind of reskins. It looks like Zarya is just blue, excuse me, Zarya is white and Lucio is blue with a hat and stuff like that. Sombra looks like she's got kind of a candy cane theme going on. May has basically just a recolor with a hat. Some people are actually legitimately pissed off about that. They're like, I want a unique May skin. This is just changing your colors. But, I mean, to be fair, I think they're all legendary skins, so it is like, if you're a completionist and you shell out all the credits for that, and it's like, the reskins tend to be the cheaper ones, where remodels are the more expensive, legendary tier, epic tier skins. So I can understand that frustration. People actually are also a little bit let down. There's a new brawl that's essentially a snowball fight. I haven't played it yet, so I don't know really what it entails, but it sounds like it's just literally typical standard fare combat, except you have snowballs, and to reload you have to go to like a pile of snow to, quote unquote reload, and get another snowball. But people say that it's just kind of like lackluster, a little underwhelming. I think, especially compared to the Lucio Ball one, which is the Rocket League one, that was like, I wish that was a constant brawl. I don't think that they've added that in the rotation since the Summer Olympics, and that was really fun because it was like, it was to borrow a term, it was a game changer. It was like, wow, this is now no longer Overwatch. This is a completely different game using just one character's physics, and obviously borrowing liberally from Rocket League. But besides that, yeah, new skins, new emotes, all of course in I think it's King's Row has sort of a Christmas redesign. So.
And I think like May's ability to turn herself into like an iceberg basically now turns her into a snowman.
Oh, that's funny. I didn't know that. That's really funny.
It still looks like a giant ice cube, but like it has like the middle part and the top part of a snowman on top of it now.
Oh, that's funny. I like that.
It's like little things, but it's like that was like their big rollout this time. It's like, hey, guess what? Get your Christmas gear now. Hooray.
Yeah. I don't have a huge, I tend to be more about like Halloween stuff, because Halloween stuff lasts a little longer. Like you could play a Halloween looking character really any time of the year and you're just like, ooh, spooky Pumpkinhead Reaper now. But Christmas stuff, it's like, running around in like July with Santa Torbjorn just feels weird. It's like, this is great. This just feels out of season, man. But I play Overwatch on and off every few days, so it's there. It's the
I still
loot
need to
boxes.
jump back on, but
That's so good.
It's there.
It's good. I like it.
And of course, it is still that time of year where we're still trying to get through this massive 20 Game of the Year potential list of 2016.
I like your choice of words. Yeah, we're suffering through. We're just struggling.
We're more than graciously suffering through the
Crawling
uphill
across
battle of this 2016 list, which we
What
thought
a
was going to be
year.
such a great joy to get through, and I think it is.
Well,
but
what a year for games. Like, these are some, we were talking about this before the recording. This chunk of games, like 10 or so games that we wanted to cover in this episode, these are, like, individually huge. Like, this is crazy. What a year.
Yeah, it's insane. But the funny part is, if you listen to our last one, we basically played just about none of them. And then this one, you'll see in a very short while that we played just about all of them. And we were talking about, it's interesting to see, since we did these in sequential order, exactly where in the year we were most active in gaming. And so we had a few in the very beginning of the year. We kind of had meh in the few months following that, almost practically nothing. And then this portion of time, these 3-ish months, were just insane. Apparently,
yeah. I mean, it was the spring release season, but it just was a doozy this year.
Yeah, and it was absolutely amazing. But not to waste any more time, we should probably just jump into the deep end on this one, and then start getting through this, because we kind of have a feeling we're going to be spending a whole lot of time on these.
Yeah. So the first one is Stellaris, and I really think I would like Stellaris. Stellaris is a 4X. Is Stellaris a 4X game?
It is a 4X game.
Or is it a strategy game?
Per definition, it is a 4X game.
Okay. It's a Paradox style 4X grand strategy.
Yeah, it's a grand strategy.
And I say Paradox style.
Yeah. The main thing with Paradox is they take strategy and then they crank it up to like level 100. So the main thing with this one, just like
Crusader Kings, Europa Universalis.
Yeah, Crusader Kings, Hearts of Iron, all that. I mean, they just, if you look at them, it is literally the definition of massive strategy. It's intense strategy. And it's funny because usually that means there's tons of features and aspects to the game. I mean, combat is always one of them, but the funny part is with Paradox, combat is a aspect to it, but they don't make it a major feature in terms of they need it to happen, but they're not gonna make it extremely you're gonna be able to go into individual battles, see individual ships do specific tactics and things like that. It's really gonna be your square goes into another square, things happen, and then someone comes out victor or loser.
Yeah, it's more the risk method of I'm here to claim land and use diplomacy and do whatever I need to do. It's resource management and stuff, and combat is okay, a roll of the dice,
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, but Stellaris is interesting because it definitely is a massive strategy game in space, very futuristic, tons of research, tons of diplomacy, and then there's always the added feature of trying to hop between different planets, different asteroid fields, different galaxies. And Stellaris, I think one of the more unique aspects of Stellaris was that they've introduced they're called anomalies, as well as individual kind of galaxy-based story kind of missions, where you discovered a temple on this asteroid. Oh, it's pointing you to this galaxy to go over here, and it's so they do add in unique features to it. I've watched a few Let's Plays on Stellaris. It's a game that I know personally I wouldn't probably not get into just because it doesn't tickle my strategic itch, which is interesting because I've seen Let's Plays on Hearts of Iron as well as Crusader Kings, and I would definitely love to play them. But this one is just kind of, I don't know, it doesn't get me, revved up. It's just
I really liked Crusader Kings 2 specifically as a storytelling platform. I had a really cool sequence of events that happened as the Duke of Orkney, and it was just Orkney, way up top there. And I just I made a text doc, I saved it, I wrote it down because I was just this is absolutely stunning. It was a family drama. It was a very Game of Thrones. A lot of people say that the best Game of Thrones game is Crusader Kings 2, and that's absolutely true. There is a mod for it, but even if you play it just pure historically,
the Game of Thrones mod for it, I'll just say, is absolutely incredible.
Yeah, and it's right on the nose with what Game of Thrones truly is, which is the political intrigue, the character intrigue. It's not a war series. It's not a combat-based series, which you've said in the past is part of your turnoff to Game of Thrones, and that makes sense. This sort of goes in, as follows here. But I probably would really like Stellaris. The problem with these kinds of games, Stellaris, Crusader Kings, stuff like that, Europa Universalis, is they really do require you to get to know their systems inside and out. And once you spend some time away from it, it's hard to jump back in. You have to kind of spend a lot of good weekend with it, relearning it.
Oh yeah, I mean it's definitely an intense game. I mean, it's one of those games it's not for the faint of heart. It's not like a game that you can do people that don't like 4X games, you can do this game. No, it's you need to know exactly what you're getting into, and you need to be prepared for it because
it's almost the nerdiest of this kind of genre. I mean that in a good way. It's just the most really fleshed out, meticulous, grand strategy.
Oh, it's deep. It's a big, thick porridge of this strategic game that you're gonna have to choke down, kind of thing. You know what I mean? It's not for the faint of heart. But
exactly,
it definitely got really good reviews. It's probably one of the better, or I'd say maybe even the best rated 4X game that came out this year. It's considering I think all the only other ones I would name I think they were only early releases this year, so I think they're still technically not full releases till next year.
Yeah,
so,
I know a lot of people liked it. It was Stellaris was well received.
Yeah, it definitely is. Just like I said, I just couldn't get into it. I know a lot of people that did get into it, so I don't know. I think it's definitely a good strategy game. For me personally, I wouldn't put it up in to me, it's not a good enough strategy game or an entertaining enough strategy game for me to be up in the game of year category, because I've played the RTS as well as turn-based strategy. Was a genre that I've always waded deeply into, and I've just played other 4X games that I just would have much preferred over Stellaris. But
sure,
I think for this year, in terms of 4X contenders, it's probably the best one there is. So
yeah,
if you're just looking for one, it's probably the best one to get. But if you just want ones that to ease your way into the water, there's like Master of Orion is purely it's a very basic 4X game. It's not going to shine in any particular way, but it's going to like introduce you to those concepts without like being forgiving. So
right,
there's different things like that.
It'll let you goof up.
Exactly,
basically.
And it's real easy to get into. But like I said, it's I would say it's far less of a game of the year than Stellaris is. It's just that it's not as massive of a game to try to digest.
For sure.
Next on the list, which was this actually a PC release?
No,
I didn't think it was.
Oh my god, did I put this on here?
Probably.
Oh, you know what? I put it on here because I thought it was worth mentioning. Because it really is, it is a big release, even though it wasn't PC.
I was going to say, I don't think it was PC, but Uncharted 4...
Yeah, because I think I threw in... I haven't yet, but I was going to throw in Final Fantasy 5 as well.
Uncharted 4 Thief's End, which is the final conclusion of the Drake series, was released this year. I played Drake's 1 through 3, and I absolutely loved them. I mean, I think, once again, certain ones did certain things better than the rest of them. I think by the third game... I don't know, it's kind of one of those things where, the first game is all story and the last game's all action because, they kind of have to basically sway the majority of the game just to make it, continue the gameplay of it. Considering, I don't know if it's just that the story, keeping fresh stories through 3 games is difficult or what. I mean, I think Mass Effect did a great job with it. But
I wasn't going to say it.
It's just... Uncharted 1 was great. I mean, I love the story with it. I love the aspect of, playing basically a treasure hunter. There's things that obviously don't make sense just because of #gaming or #video game. Like a guy somehow like murdering, I think, this is funny. Someone did an article on if you played the first 3 games complete, how many guys at minimum you would have to kill, and it was like several thousand.
Yeah, it's the Lara Croft effect.
Yeah, it's just like, one guy he's an untrained soldier, not even an untrained soldier, just a nobody, can somehow massacre 3 or 4 dozen armies and also supernatural beings, just like willy-nilly. And they're stupid little things, but I know Uncharted 4 Thief's End was basically many years after the third one, kind of supposed to tie it all together. I didn't spoil a lot of it for myself just because there was a chance I was going to play it. Like I said, I can only imagine how it concludes the series.
Yep.
I think it was well received. I don't think it was as good of a game.
It cleaned up at the Video Game Awards, but take that with a grain of salt.
Yeah, because my thing is, it was a good looking game. From what I've read, people said it's a good game, but it's not a good Drake game because the Drake games in themselves were an experience to behold. I mean, those were the type of games where most of the time, my heart was racing and I was sweating because of the way they so perfectly orchestrated action and suspense, and it didn't feel like I am a pawn in a virtual world doing something very interesting. It was shit, I'm dangling from an airplane, I'm gonna die.
Much more visceral, yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, that was the thing. It made you really feel what the character was actually experiencing. And from Drake's 4, it just seems like they, I don't want to say it as, take this with, like you said, grain of salt. A lot of times I've read it as, this was an excuse to get Drake into PS4 graphics. And that literally could be a good representation of it. But that's what I'm saying. It was a good game in terms of being just a game of itself, but if you compare it to the previous 3, not so much. But
makes sense. Yeah. That sounds about right. I'd be curious to know how Alec, our friend Alec, feels about it.
Oh, considering who is one of the biggest Naughty Dog fangirls out there.
Yep. Yeah. I haven't actually gotten a conclusive opinion from him yet on Uncharted 4, so I'd love to ask him.
Yeah, well,
be curious.
Put on the to-do list.
Yeah.
Going on to
to-do list or to-doom list.
I see what you did there.
Oh my god.
Onto a game that we know is definitely on PC.
Oh yeah.
Doom.
I was gonna say before we got off of Uncharted, if you want that feeling on PC, go play the Lara Croft games, the new ones, because they do that.
No, definitely.
That action movie feel. But yes, Doom. New Doom.
Not
Doom. Yeah, Doom.
Shouty caps, Doom.
Yeah, this is like... I think my computer is capable of running it now, since my computer basically had a psychological anxiety attack a few weeks ago, and I had to coax it back into it's just starting to interact with people again. He's doing very well. He's taken up crocheting, and I think that he could handle Doom now, because I really, 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 really want to play this. Doom is apparently just plain fucking great.
It is.
You want to just run through and just shoot things, just the feeling of Doom, but in a complete modern engine. That's what they did.
100% the most guiltiest of pleasures action shooters there is. I mean, when I first started playing it, I felt like my guy was moving at 1,000x the movement speed. And
I missed that. I've missed that in games so much.
And it was there's no cover or anything. It was purely just run and gun. People came out of everywhere. Everything was over the top. And I'm sitting there going, I really don't. I was trying to turn my mouse sensitivity down because of how fast everything was moving. I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to like this. A few hours into this thing, I am giggling like a schoolgirl because it's just here's an imp. Shotgun to the head. Bam! Ha ha ha! Move on.
Yeah. It's just so crunchy. It's so delightful.
You have all these different ways to do all these sync kills. You discover a chainsaw. I mean, it is
and the sync kills are
fun.
The sync kills are locational, so if you're coming into an imp and you're kicking his leg, you're going to kick his leg out from under him and feed him with his arm into his mouth, It's just crazy stuff. That's all, really good adaptability.
And then you have different types of advancement skills with your armor, your weapons. You can choose how to, physically advance or evolve your weapons as you get points. You have, exploration-based items, trying to discover different pathways, find different secrets. And it is just fun. I mean, it goes way back into the FPS shooter genre to just pull out this bare bones, just fun experience, because it really is just, you want a shooting action game where you kill a lot of stuff in a very bloody way? Doom. I mean, it's
Doom.
There's no fluff. It is literally just shooting and action.
There it is. That's it. It's a very simple, straightforward premise. Executed very well.
So extremely well.
Another shooter that came out right around that same time that was also executed incredibly well is the big one, Overwatch.
Yeah, I mean, potentially, most people's, or I would say a lot of people's game of the year, easy. But Overwatch, I would say the multiplayer shooter for the year. I mean, it was a game, it literally is that. They marketed it as such. They developed it as purely being a multiplayer shooter. It was going to be the big kind of competitive shooter replacements. And oh my God, did they do such a good job with it.
Yep, absolutely. It's Team Fortress 2 has had this title for too long. It's time to rock the boat. I mean, I like TF2. I really do. TF2 is fun. But TF2, and I believe I've said this before, is kind of a zone-out game. You would play it with friends, and you'd be talking with friends over voice chat while you're playing it. You're not necessarily in it to win it, especially recently, since, as of late, rather, I should say. They kind of threw balancing out the window, but just through the game's design, in favor of it being
far more,
I don't know.
Yeah, I would say enjoyable in this kind of the wacky sense.
Yeah, wacky is a great word for it. Where Overwatch, the very first thing, everyone's impression when those first trailers were going out were, okay, this is like a Pixar game. This just looks really, really good. It just looks good. Aesthetically, it looks like it's going to look good. And then all of a sudden you start playing it, and it's like, oh, this feels good. Wow, these characters feel good. All the weapons, all the abilities, they just feel good. They were they must have been QA tested for years, because and they're constantly being honed. The game's getting a lot of love, and I'm glad to know that Blizzard is not shying away from any of it whatsoever. They are just saying, okay, you're not happy about McCree? We're going to fix that. Oh, you're not feeling too keen on this? We're going to fix that. And they love the fans. The fan art is like as much, and fan fiction, for whatever it's worth, is as much part of Overwatch's thing as the regular canon. I think they've even retconned some of the canon to say like, no, we like this fan fiction idea better. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. A lot of people praise it for having a lot of diversity. The characters are different races, different genders, different body types, different stuff. This is never explicitly mentioned, but there's a lot surrounding Overwatch in terms of sexuality. And I think, I guess good on them for neither confirming nor denying it.
Definitely.
That's probably the best thing they could do there.
It's interesting how much people self-impose narratives in a game that has no story mode.
Yeah, that's what's really interesting. And it's like, I don't really know if word from above, without getting too much into an ethical discussion, I don't really know if word from above is like, we want this to be a platform for people to say, yeah, clearly these two characters are in love with each other, or something like that, or this character identifies as this or as that. But again, they have neither confirmed nor denied a lot of stuff, and I think as a result, it has created this platform where people can say, wow, I love this character because I feel some sort of connection to him or whatever, or I feel this is cool. They're a cool representation of something. I like it because it's a damn good game to play. Hell of a lot of fun.
It's a lot of fun. I mean, and the best part about this game is that it goes on both spectrums. It's a ton of fun, and it's very competitive if you want it to be. It's a game where everything is so well balanced, or at least they're trying to get to the point where everything is almost perfectly balanced, where it's truly based on the skill and, makeup of teams, as opposed to, there's games where you can just, I have a bigger gun than you, therefore I have a better chance. This game is purely just, here's all your abilities, you do with them as you will. And like no one hero is as good in like one person's hands as they are in another person's hands. You just can't jump into a character and be amazing with them. And I think that's the best part about doing like just the jump in random games. They can be extremely wacky. There'll be a point where you are all just playing Winstons and just jumping around and smashing people. Or you can literally go into the ranked play and just be super uber competitive to the point where you're screaming at someone because, why do you pick Torbjorn on an offensive match? Why do you bear...
Yeah, and it allows... I think that's the thing. I think that's the secret to Overwatch, kind of going back to what I was just saying, is it allows a platform of what do you want this to be? I mean, to me, the best thing that Overwatch has done is added their arcade mode. That is... everything. That is like, this is the game I want to play, because then you could just fire it up and say, I want to play all random, or I want to just go through brawls, or I want to do a 3v3 or something. And the quick play is also fantastic for, that's my jam, because I do like Lucio. I like being Lucio as often as I can be Lucio, but there's something about that arcade mode having the all random where it's just like, okay, now I'm Zarya. How does this work? How do I work this thing?
That is one of my all-time
there's
favorite
another
game
Zarya.
modes.
Yeah, it's really great, and like you said, you can be uber competitive, and I've tried the competitive mode. It's fun. It's too much for me, but I like it. I like it as a competitive game. There is some fun strategizing. The matches are a good length of time. The maps, I never have felt like gypped by a map, There are certain ones where you're like, oh, that's unfair. There's a sniper perch there. And then all of a sudden you're on offense. It's like, well, that's unfair. They've got a great way to shoot me if they, and so...
They know where my sniper perch is.
They know where my sniper perch is, and so it just tends to balance out really well. Overwatch is a lot of fun. Probably the most fun game that I've played this year. That's unique to this year. That's just like, this is fun. I'm enjoying every minute of this. Even when I'm frustrated, it's frustrated because it's like, no, I want to win. I'm so invested in this. I want to do good, I love it.
A game that I really wanted, or I waited a very, very, very long time for it to drop, is Total War Warhammer, which is aka the Total War game for this year, because it seems like they're about on a yearly basis at this point. And it was such a big game because it was the very first fantasy title for Total War, which I loved, and I even loved even more because it was Warhammer. And the Warhammer universe in of itself is just so utterly violent. It's just like the perfect marriage of strategy and just utter violence. in one way, shape, or form.
I was a fan of these things.
Yeah, definitely. Because I was a fan of the old RTS Dawn Wars, which were Warhammer 40k strategy games, and were known for literally having these massive bloody sync kills. And then you go to Total War Warhammer, which is such massive warfare battles to the point of it was like the perfect marriage. You want to see how does a orc actually do against a dwarf with a great sword? How will this actually play out? Or the fact that I now have flying units, I have magic, I also have massive siege weapons, I have things that don't need to be constrained by a realistic physical realm. That was probably the best part about this. And now, if I have to take this considering just completely at vanilla launch, it was different. It was a game that I liked, but I didn't love. And maybe I didn't love it because of how much I put my own personal hype into it. But the original game of Total War, as it was launched, it was good, but I didn't think it was a true representation of Warhammer. I think if you would have said this is Total War Fantasy, I probably would have said that it did pretty well. But when you did Total War Warhammer, it just, I don't know. I think it could have been a better game at launch. It wasn't even from performance issues. It was just how they treated.
It didn't quite have enough of the Warhammer.
Exactly. That was the problem. I didn't think they went big enough with it. And it got better when they released the Blood and Gore pack, just for obvious reasons. They started to put in free DLCs, and now they've had 2 or 3 DLCs by the time by the end of the year is rolled around, including at least elves, 2 different races, 2 new races with the Beastmen and the Wood Elves, which just came out. They've had other paid DLCs, which put in other legendary lords and other storylines. And the game now, even, I would say less than a half a year later, is so completely different in the sense of being better that it is becoming a really good game. But I think the best premise of Total War Warhammer is the fact that this game is already pre-slotted to be a 3-game deep strategy game, to the point of it's not going to be individual games like there's 3 separate games. It's going to be, we have Total War 1 right now, which is what they're doing. Eventually, they're going to come to a point where, okay, we're going to stop all DLCs and free LCs for X amount of time to give you Total War Warhammer 2, which is literally just the biggest expansion of Total War Warhammer 1, which means you need 1 to play 2, so on and so forth. They're going to do that up through 3, so there's going to be 2 new massive, completely brand new games worth of content expansions onto this game. So by the end of the lifetime of this game, it's going to be huge. They'll have the vast majority of the races, as well as, I couldn't tell you how much other content involved with it. So I feel like this game at that point, after the 3rd expansion, if you want to call it that, that's probably going to be Game of the Year contention.
Right.
This one, it's a damn good strategy game. It is a really good Total War game now that they're getting into the DLC portions of it and they're rebalancing things and getting new kind of aspects to it. But to me, it is a really good game. It's just, I would be hard-pressed to put it as my Game of the Year or even strategy Game of the Year, just because of all the little nuances that I feel like it didn't do right. In the sense of,
it's like naming a Sims Game of the Year. It's like maybe 3 years after it first came out, and they have all of the expansions.
And it's just there's all these little decisions that the creators and developers made that I'm like, I would have went the other way with that, and I think it would have been a such better game. And it was Total War, just generic historic Total War, was starting to go down the path of sync kills. And then Warhammer was known for having extremely drawn out, very cinematic, bloody sync kills. Then you get the Total War Warhammer, you're like, oh, give it to me. Yeah, we didn't do any sync kills because we decided not to. What? Why? Okay, that's stupid. Oh, and another thing, in the last Total War, how we had these massive city battles of Alexandria, Rome, and all this other stuff where they literally were almost like scale-sized maps with hundreds of units or of actual, I'd say, not units. Because units would imply individual soldiers, like
clusters of units.
Yeah, like basically vast armies of like 20 unit deep, kind of things, and each unit has like 100 individual soldiers in it. So you have like thousands upon like tens of thousands of soldiers on the screen in this massive city, and then you're like, okay, now if you tell me you're going to give me that scale for like a Dwarven Karak or a Dwarven Hold in the mountains, and to the same level of detail, oh my god, this is going to be not only something to behold from a visual standpoint, but something to behold from a strategic standpoint.
Right.
And it's going to be like this massive, long, drawn-out battle, which is what it should be, because in the lore, like, you can never, ever break a Dwarven Karak. So you're thinking, like, okay, what are they going to do for this? Oh, yeah,
right,
well,
it's lore friendly.
Oh, it would be. But then they're like, okay, so you know how we had these massive siege battles? Yeah. Give it to me. Yeah, so we made them, you're only going to fight on one wall, and they're going to go very, very, very quick. What do you mean? Well, you can see things, but you can only fight in one little portion, and there's going to be like a really, really small victory point really close to the wall. Oh. So
yeah, underwhelming.
So what does that mean? So like siege battles only last for like 15 minutes. You have to be kidding me. No. Like, the siege battles alone would make me like cut this, like, my rating for this game down in half. Just because the whole point of Total War or Warhammer or any type of game to have these sieges of these massive, epic, lore-based cities, which like were unable to be taken by any faction over hundreds of years, to be purely just a 10-minute battle for one side or at most one corner of a settlement. It was such a slap in the face. I mean, I still can't get over that, and I don't think they'll ever fix it. But that is one of the reasons, or one of the biggest areas that I just cannot like stand for what the developers chose to do with that. I know you could make lots of arguments for doing it the way that they tried to do it, and in some ways I enjoyed some of the spots where their heart was in, but it just, no. I still, to this day, I play this game and go, I really wish these sieges were better. It's just, I want that sense of epicness. I want, the scale of large. I want to feel like, oh, I'm a dwarf holed up in my hole. You're not gonna be able to get to me, kind of thing. Now it's just like, well, time to defend this wall. Hopefully, I can break them before they break the wall. Yay! And it's just, like that alone makes me like almost want to hate this game, just because I didn't get the game I wanted, and and the vast majority of people in the community felt the same way. It's just, you're really telling me that you're gonna make these sieges into almost nothing now? Come on.
Do you think that there's room for it to be improved, or is that like even in the future iterations?
I would love for it to be, but I really don't think that's the way the company's been going and the way the development team's been going. I extremely doubt they'll put any effort into trying to make it into the way that it should be. Or even to the sense of the way that all their historical titles have been moving towards. So that really irks me. But
yeah, makes sense.
I still would recommend this game for anyone who likes strategy and or fantasy types of games. But it's just that little thing just makes me it prevents me from putting this into the great category. That alone would make me want to put this game on like the highest of pedestals. But now it's just like, it's a good game, but it's just not a great game.
Yeah, that's a bummer.
It is, and it's just, I really wanted this game to be, like, like, my true ultimate strategy game, and it got all my hopes up to kind of go, meh.
Well, that's not anything that's ever happened before in 2016.
Ever, no.
Oh, wait, that's at the end of our list. I'm almost even considering moving that to a later episode, because I'm just looking ahead and like, oh my god. Okay. Next up on our list is a quickie. And that's Mirror's Edge Catalyst. I didn't play it. Did you play it?
I didn't play it.
I think it was okay. How did people feel about it?
I heard it was okay. I mean, I didn't hear anyone go crazy for it. I mean, it was one of those games that I knew it. They released another one, but that's about it. You know what I mean? It's like I don't recall people having a good or bad opinion of it. I just remember it happened.
Good 7 out of 10, kind of like,
yeah,
it was good.
Like maybe 7 or 8 out of 10.
Cool.
I liked the first one a lot, but
I did too.
I just didn't. The second one didn't strike me as anything I wanted. It didn't strike me as anything that I followed. I didn't hear much in the community about it, so
yeah, it was like, I think it was supposed to be maybe more than it ended up being. Like, they're like, oh, we got an open world and we fixed the combat and stuff like that, and I think that
freaking open world was the stupid little buzzword thrown around to every game in 2016, and I can't tell you how much I hate open world because of it.
What, you don't like directionless fetch quest oriented hub level?
Every single game this year had the hashtag freaking open world thrown onto it. Oh, I hate open world games.
You can't get more open world than the next game on this list.
Oh my god. As much as I want to hate you for that statement, I cannot dispute it.
This is also on here, like Uncharted, even though it wasn't a PC game. It was a big game, and that's Pokemon Go. The ultimate open world game, because it's literally our world.
It literally is a part of the open world.
Pokemon Go can best be summed up by a message I saw floating around about 3 weeks after it came out, with someone saying, hey, does anyone remember Pokemon Go? I mean, that game was a bubble that just, like, the bubble bursting isn't an appropriate enough term. Like, it just was like, poof! And then, what was that? What just happened? This huge thing, Pokemon Go. Wow, it's Pokemon Go. You can play Pokemon on your phone. It's free. You can go out, put Pokemon in your street. There's Pokemon in your neighbor's dumpster. Go get it. Go get them, Pikachu.
Hooray!
And then it just was... I mean, I guess it's still a thing because I continue to see it hopping up every now and then, and them saying, like, this is changing.
It's still technically a thing.
But every single person that I know in real life and on the internet anywhere who's playing Pokemon Go. And it's like I said, it was one of our, I think actually our very first episode, we were talking we covered about it. And a huge base of people that were playing it were girls my age, like mid-20-something girls who were just like, yeah, this is great, this is so much fun. And it was, increasing maybe a knowledge of Pokemon that they and I don't mean this to assign a gender to it, but, there is a stereotype that exists. And it'd be crazy not to acknowledge it. It's a truth out there, and I thought, well, this is cool. This could maybe be a window for some people who may not necessarily be a video game oriented person, could say, well, this is kind of fun. What's this based off of? Oh, wow, Pokemon is actually, oh, okay, maybe I'll get a DS and get a Pokemon game. I mean, people seem to be reacting really well to Sun and Moon. That's the most recent one that just came out. Maybe sales of that were up as a result of Pokemon Go. Who knows? But the bottom line being that Pokemon Go itself, Pokemon came and Pokemon went.
Yeah, it was interesting how large of a intro it had and how quiet of a following it had.
And it was like, boom! It was just overnight. Came overnight, left overnight. Like
overnight, it dethroned Twitter for the most used app, and then it just died.
Like some kind of crazy nuclear bomb of an app. I think that there's a concept there that's still really cool, but like many things, like the theme for 2016 is concept, awesome, execution, almost there. Almost
so
there.
Close.
Closer than we were before, so that's good. But yeah, that was Pokemon Go.
Yeah, it could. I feel like it still could be a great game. It's just,
yeah. Another game that was really, really, really loved this year, a bit more of an indie game, was Inside. Inside was from, oh boy, I can't believe I'm blanking on this. It was from the developers it was from Playdead. The developers of Limbo. There we go, Limbo. And if anyone's played Limbo, it's a similar thing. It's a side-scrolling platformer that's much more based on atmosphere than anything else. Like, it's not a game that you're playing because you want to, master platforming skill. Like, it's not a Mario or a Sonic. This is more a narrative-driven platformer. It's very much in the way it looks, the way it sounds, the way it feels, and Limbo explored some cool dystopic themes. I did look up the ending because I know a lot of people were talking about it. Kind of a wacky, sort of left field, very science fiction ending. That's like, okay, almost funny if it wasn't like so creepy. I won't spoil it, but I think for that alone, it's like, I almost would warn people like, yeah, this is a fun platformer. Don't expect an ending that's gonna. It's like a Kojima level ending. It's like, what? Okay. But in terms of like the, there needs to be like a mid indie genre. It's like not quite a mom and pop indie, but definitely an established indie, but not a AAA title. Looks cool, and not the kind of game. Actually, I'm not very much a platformer person, so I personally skipped over this. But I couldn't help but see all the press on it. People really liked it. Speaking of platformers, I guess just kind of skyrocketing along here.
Yeah, definitely.
Starbound. Now, this is an example of a platformer I liked, and it's because it wasn't really a platformer. It just was a side-scrolling thing.
It was like Terraria.
Terraria in space.
Terraria in space, but with far more kind of like RPG story elements.
Yeah, and for that, I like it. And Starbound is a kind of game that it's that type of game where I bet I would really like this if I just devoted just to this. It's got some cool stuff that it's doing. It's got the Minecraft building elements, the resource gathering, and then I like this door. I want to put this door in my house that I'm building in my village on this one planet. It did the No Man's Sky thing before No Man's Sky of the randomly generated planets and monsters and flora and fauna and all that. But it officially released this year. I think it went to early access in about 2013, thereabouts. I really liked it. I got to play a little bit of the official release. It's really cool. It's like you said, there's an RPG there that's got a story. That's neat. I don't know if it's anything that you'd be interested in.
I've considered it. I wanted to watch a few videos on it. Yeah. Because I tried to do Terraria, whatever it's called. Terraria, sorry. And I couldn't get into that really. But I mean, Starbound sounds interesting, but I don't know if I could if it's a genre for me right now.
Yeah, it's a very specific thing that it's doing. It's straddled between the Minecraft and the No Man's Sky, Yeah,
it's
kind of like doesn't sound like a good Minecraft and No Man's Sky with retro side-ons like 32-bit graphics.
Yeah, that's probably the best way of describing it. It's 2D No Man's Sky. Oh my God, Minecraft.
Yeah, without the, I mean, it really is. No Man's Sky is a really good comparison point for it.
It's like No Man's Sky Light.
Yeah, and if you didn't like No Man's Sky, you probably won't like this for the same reasons.
Probably. Well, I don't know. People tend to like this game at a far more common rate.
I think that people knew what Starbound was. No Man's Sky was wrapped in so much ambiguity, and then when that came out, it was like, what is this shit? Well, we might as well segue into it. I just realized that's the last one on our list.
I was going to say, ta-da.
Wow. So yeah, Brian, this was the year of No Man's Sky.
Ewan, what a interesting year it was.
I've been blathering on enough. Why don't you take a whack at this one?
Well, No Man's Sky is interesting because I really think the problem with No Man's Sky was it was killed by its own hype. I think it was one of those things where there was so much hype kind of inadvertently induced by the community, press, basically everyone in the gaming community thought No Man's Sky was going to be this like coming to Jesus moment in gaming where like it's going to be the game changer of all games. And then when the entire time the studio's like, no, look, we're just kind of doing an exploration game. And they're like, oh no, it's going to be the best thing since sliced bread. Yeah. And it's, no, we're just doing this game. See, here's the gameplay video of it.
Yeah.
No, just ignore that. And then, it got so many pre-releases and everything else, and tons and tons and tons of people bought it. It released, people played it, and they went, well, this isn't the game I thought it was. But to say that is different to say that I knew the exact game I was getting because I took everything straight from the developer's mouth.
Yeah, and increasingly so. Leading up to release, they had full videos of gameplay. I was like, okay.
And I knew exactly what it was, and I feel like a lot of people turned like a deaf ear to it. But I knew exactly what I was getting, and I had a pretty strong suspicion that I wasn't going to like it. And after about 6-7 hours, I got exactly the experience I thought I was going to have with it, and I probably won't touch it again.
Right.
But that's not to say that it was at fault to the company or anything else. It was purely just I took a chance on this game. I think a lot of the hatred that waved across this game was because everyone thought it was going to be this outwardly game, and they bought this game and they're like, this isn't what I expected. But then there's a small portion of that community, like players such as yourself, that kind of knew what this game was, knew that they liked that type of game, bought it and enjoyed it, and they're still enjoying it.
I think there is a third subsect. I think that both of those are right, and I think that there is a third subsect of people who may have been interested in it, got it, played it, and were bored. Which I understand. I do get that, for sure.
I think it's still another one of those types of games where you're hoping that after so long, it's going to come around to be a extremely well game. Like, the type of game that's going to be, they're just going to keep adding to it and adding to it and adding to it and things like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I have talked a lot. I've said a lot of words out loud, out of my mouth hole, about No Man's Sky. And my final verdict is I like it. I like it as a game. I do. And I enjoy playing it. I'm not currently playing it, so let that speak for itself. Meanwhile, I have logged so many of hours of life, of living, of breathing into Star Wars The Old Republic. And I know it's apples and oranges. They're two different types of games, but also it's all games, so why does one stick and the other one doesn't? Star Wars The Old Republic, to me, is constantly giving me new experiences. There's this constant, how is this specific character that I've designed going to deal with this specific story beat that I wasn't expecting, Because I'm playing through all the class stories, so everything that happens is new to me. Every moment-to-moment thing. Yeah, I may revisit the planet, but I'm getting I have a new goal. I have a new
perspective
character
on it.
Yeah, a new perspective even. That's a great thing, actually, that it does, is sometimes you land on a planet, and you could even do the planet-based story, which everyone can do, completely differently, because you've got a different outlook. One person could be a complete rebel sympathizer or Republic sympathizer. Another person could be like, no, the Empire is the only way. And so you just have this cool flexibility in designing the game for your own experience. No Man's Sky is so open in designing the game for your own experience that it actually is to the game's detriment. There's a lack of motivation. There's a lack of direction. And even with what they've just added with the base building and the giant shipping freighters that you can get, those are like end game goals. And once you get that, finally I have 7 million credits, I can get a shipping freighter. Why would I have bought a shipping freighter? To make 7 million credits. It's a catch-22. Like, I would buy one of those so I can make money more better. But now I've bought the thing. So what do I do now? Cool, now I have, access to a really good, quick, easy way to earn money. Now I don't need the money, because this is what I was saving up for. It's like having a hammer behind glass and saying, in case of emergency, break glass. And it's like, but the hammer is behind the glass. How do I get the hammer if it's behind the glass?
Oh, there was a really great Ratchet and Clank bit on that.
Oh my god!
It was like they had to get. He discovered a new wrench in a glass jar, and it says to get wrench, break glass with rock. And then you look to the left of you, and then there's this rock under the same type of glass jar, and you're like, but wait, so we need to break the rock to get the glass?
Yeah.
But we can't break the glass. And then the entire time he's just sitting there, rolling his eyes, and eventually he just takes his current wrench and smashes both of them. So it's just like,
yeah, that's the No Man's Sky dilemma as it currently stands. Game of the year, I'm gonna keep that one bookmarked right now.
I think it depends. Once again, I think it depends on which community you're kind of like posing that for.
Yeah,
but I don't know. Like I said, it's not the. I think the game it's successful. I think it succeeded in being the game that it wanted itself to be. I just don't think it succeeded in being the game that everyone else wanted it to be.
Yep. There it is.
And that is where we're going to leave off our 2016 list for today. Next up, we have games such as Deus Ex Mankind Divided, World of Warcraft Legion, Mafia 3, Gears of War 4. It's going to be another fun, action-packed 2016 list.
Big old cluster.
Definitely. And, woo, it's going to be these late-night podcasts, man. The midnight oil of the Addicted to Loot podcast, man.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And as you as listeners may be aware, we've started a new feature where we're showcasing a new hot free game every week, so that you guys may have something that you can go and play after you've listened to this podcast, or maybe while you're listening to this podcast. Who knows? Maybe you've developed time travel, and you're just keeping it to yourself because it's. Yeah, maybe you already know how all of this ends, and good on you for keeping that to yourself. So this week came up a little bit faster than I think we anticipated, and we didn't actually really scour around for a game. There are plenty of games out there, but I want to sort of give them their just due when we do this segment. And since this came up a little bit quickly, per a great suggestion in chat. I think the free game this week that we're going to showcase is, in fact, Star Wars: The Old Republic. And there's a couple of reasons for that, actually. One, they're having their 5th anniversary celebrations right now, which means, wow, game's been around 5 years, including this adorable Jawa hanging from a balloon that floats around your character. It's just like a little party thing that you can pull out. It's completely free. Go get it on the fleet. But Star Wars: The Old Republic is really genuinely, for its free offering, a great game. Like a complete full game. You can play it and get the entire experience. I didn't start paying until after I finished my Agent. I did the entire Agent story as the free character, and I was like, this is just so worth it. And it is cheap. You can do it in some pretty affordable different installments. Like, it doesn't have to be subscription based. You can do it just for days at a time. But I'm not about to shill for BioWare any more than I usually do. It's a fun game. It's a very versatile game in terms of a science fiction Star Wars experience. Like, I've recently developed a character for every single class, and I'm really surprised. Like, I was playing the Trooper most recently, and it doesn't even feel like a Star Wars game. It's if you enjoy the way that this game controls, which is your typical third-person RPG, for lack of a better determinator.
Pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, you could be like, yeah, I just want to play a game where I feel like a science fiction military man in this setting. Okay, play the Trooper. I want to be, basically Darth Vader. Play the Dark Side Sith Warrior. There's all sorts of really cool options, and I've talked about this game endlessly, so I'm not going to waste any more time. It's a good one. Go get it. Star Wars: The Old Republic.
Definitely, and it's free.
And it's free. That's good. That's the good shit right there.
Yeah, definitely. It is a game that is worth every penny.
Yes, even none of them. So we have been Addicted to Loot, and how do we close these usually? I'm blanking.
We have been Addicted to Loot, and this has been the 21st episode of Addicted to Loot podcast. Woo! You can check out this podcast, our website, our Facebook, our Twitters, our email, our everything at our website at addictedtoloot.weebly.com. Gets you basically everywhere you need to go. If you're listening to this podcast, you probably don't need to know where to get the podcast, but in case you don't and you're clairvoyant, we post this podcast on SoundCloud, Stitcher, and iTunes, as well as we always post it on YouTube as well. Once again, all the links and more are on our webpage. Our personal Twitters, mine is at Fifth, FITH _Atomic0. Yours is at Tomality. I think it's spelled exactly how it sounds.
That is.
The official Addicted to Loot Twitter is Addicted to Loot, which is the number 2. And we have been Addicted to Loot until next time, where we continue on our 2016 list, as well as all other fun, random, wacky gaming news.
Stay hot, you cool cats.